Hey guys, welcome back to the Friday Society. I am here with Rachel Apfel Glass. She is the founder and CEO of Glosslab, which, Rachel, how many locations do you have right now?
We have almost 20 locations open.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So you've got 20 locations open. I'm so excited to talk to you about your founder story, brick and mortar locations, and everything that goes into the Glosslab experience. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks so much. It's great to talk to you.
I'm so excited. All right. So give us the first story of when you realized Gloss Lab was necessary. Like, let's just set the scene of before this was even, before you had started raising money or before anything happened. When did you have that aha moment that you were just like, I need this company, this needs to exist?
Yeah, I think Gloss Lab really the idea almost goes back as far as I can remember. I'm thinking back to even in college and getting manicures with friends and thinking, this is such a bad experience. There's no brand, there is no one out there that's making this experience really about the customer. And for
Yeah.
years and years, through school, through working in finance, a manicure was just this essential part of my week, but it was a frustrating part because it was
Yeah.
just not a pleasant errand, so to
Yeah.
speak. So I think I really had always had this idea and then ultimately took the plunge to bring it to action. But I think the idea really had been brewing for a long, long time.
Yeah, I love that. And that just brings up, when I was doing research, I saw that you guys do a lot of like bachelorettes and you do a lot of group experiences, which I think is so great because it's like hair and makeup is an experience and it feels like you're being pampered. And then doing a manicure pedicure doesn't tend to feel that way. Like there's a missing link in between, like turning a manicure into a really great experience. So I love that you guys offer, group experiences and all of that.
Yes, 100%. I think a manicure, and I really think of a manicure, I always equate it to, I worked in finance and there was a shoe shine person that would come around in the morning to shine your shoes. And I
Mhm.
think this would be so great if this was a manicure, because to me, it was very much an errand. Like you wanted to just have your nails done to feel good, to feel polished and like you can take on your day, but it's not really enjoyable while you're getting
Yeah.
it. So how do we make this super efficient, but a fun experience while you're getting it done?
Yeah, I love that. So when you had this idea, right? When you were just, or I guess when you were ready to move forward with the idea, let's kind of start there. Did you know that you wanted your location to be in New York? Like, where did you sort of start with saying, okay, I'm serious about this. This is a necessity. I know the market is going to be receptive to it. What did you do next? Like, what happened?
So I'm based in New York City. So
Mhm.
I know that the first locations were going to be here because there's thousands of nail salons in New York City.
Yeah.
And I feel that the market is really, really big, but also really fragmented. And there really wasn't a brand in the space in the way that Gloss Lab is. So
Mhm.
wanted to start in New York. Really initially would just had this idea and would do a few things a day. I was working at the time. I would do a few things a day to push my idea forward.
Mhm.
The first was it was really hard to even just find data on. I guess you can hear right now that I'm in New York City because,
Yeah.
because of the siren. So in New York City, loud and clear.
That's New
Uh,
York.
but the first thing I did was there was no data on the nail salon industry. So I hired a task rabbit to stand outside nail salons at night and literally just count the people in and out the door and how long they would spend in there. And that's how I built our first model because there was nothing that existed at such a fragmented, sort of undocumented industry.
Yeah.
It seemed like a really crazy thing to be doing at the time. Like I was
Mhm.
working, I was a mom of two children, and I was like, let me just try this thing, to get it off the ground. So I always think of those things like in the moment they seem kind of crazy, but that's how I started, just little by little by little.
Oh my gosh. Did any of the salon owners, were they like, who is this guy who's counting all of our people?
I didn't get that, but I somehow got,
You
some
got
type of data, something.
That's so funny. I love that. Okay, so then did you start to talk to people? Did you start to talk to, like girls and ask them, "Hey, what would you think about this?" Like when did you start to do your market research?
I did really all at the same time. I mean, I think I I think of myself as the customer. I
Mm.
even owning the business now, I still try to stay the customer as
Yeah.
much as I can. I love to even though I can't really mystery shop at my own locations anymore. I like to. So I like to really take the angle of the customer experience. So I think that side of the data was really easy for me because I knew what the pain points were. I knew what was missing,
Yeah.
um, and really built the business from there.
Hmm. I want to just touch on quickly. You said the word undocumented, right, for the nail industry. I think I've always been really curious, just as a consumer, about the ethical, I guess, working conditions of the nail industry, especially in New York. It's so funny. I think, we have in New York, manicures and pedicures are quite inexpensive comparatively, right, for like the rest of the nation. And it was only a few years ago that one of my friends was like, yeah, it's not a good thing. Like the way that, workers are treated in the nail industry isn't fantastic. Can you just go into that a little bit? Because I think that's one of those things that many people don't necessarily know.
Yeah, I think that I definitely would reference there was a big New York Times article about it several years ago, just about the nail industry. So I would sort of reference that, and that's where
Mhm.
I sort of got a lot of data on what was
Oh,
happening in
interesting.
the industry.
Yeah.
I know from Glosslab, I think of a manicure as empowering. Like I feel great when I have a manicure. I've really taken the approach at Glosslab of having that from the inside out. So really, how do we, starting with our team, really empower our nail technicians? So making
Mhm.
them feel a part of sort of the greater mission of Glosslab, that like they're not just giving a manicure, but they're really changing someone's day,
Yeah.
and doing that in our own, in our way of doing things above board. So paying our technicians, on the books,
Mhm.
paying a fair
Yeah.
hourly wage, um, having guaranteed gratuities, which go 100% to the technicians that do the
Mhm.
service.
Mhm.
All Glosslab employees have equity in the business. So really this sort of equitable approach, and including the team as part of our greater mission. So I think just elevating at least our business within the industry, has really been at the forefront of what we're doing.
Yeah. That, I mean, you're really the first person to do that in this industry. So I think that's really fantastic. And it is, I think as people are getting more aware with social media and the internet and everything, like we do want to vote with our wallets. And so I love that you have that approach to it. So, okay, when did you then start to look at real estate? When were you like, talk to me about actually building your first location, hiring, all of that? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, so it was, I'm proud to say my very first technician that we hired is still with the company. So
Wow.
that's amazing. That was in 2019. So that's really exciting.
I love that.
And really just started to look. Our first location was actually a pop-up. It was in Flatiron, and that turned into a permanent location. We opened West Village at the same time. And really within New York, I love this clustering approach that we've done. New York is sort of
Mhm.
this very big but very small city. We have one of our most recent locations is only 3.5 blocks from another location, but
Wow.
as we know, living in New York, that 3.5 blocks
Is
is a
make or break.
big 3.5 blocks.
Yeah.
Like move apartments 3 blocks away, and it feels like a different neighborhood.
Yeah.
So really focused our real estate that way. Focused really where in neighborhoods where we felt like they were live work, where it was near people's homes, near people's work. Um,
Mhm.
since COVID, we've been able to really negotiate some great leases following COVID, given sort of the upheaval in the retail real estate market. So that's
Yeah.
been an opportunity for us.
Yeah. So how many locations? So you opened Flatiron and West Village at the same time?
Yes, those were the two that we opened pre-COVID. And
Okay.
then since COVID, we have opened Tribeca, NoHo, Chelsea, Nomad, two on the Upper East Side, and Midtown.
I didn't realize you had two locations pre-COVID. I thought there were more than that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, got it. So, question, when you were opening two locations at once, how did you sort of balance that as the founder, the face of the company? Like, did you spend more time at one location? Did you have a marketing strategy for each, or was it just generally for the company? Like, what did it look like balancing two locations at once?
So in the very beginning, and thankfully they were in the same market. So I
Mhm.
think that really helped. And there were actually synergies. At the time, we did no paid advertising. So it was very organic. It was word of mouth. When we first opened, we had a waiting list for membership at our locations.
Yeah.
And then now that we have so many, I feel like we're still really able to have these synergies
Yeah.
of multiple locations, both operationally, marketing, really the brand, having it available in more locations so that you can go to Glosslab near your office, near your home, on your way to from places, has really, in effect, made things, I think, easier. Despite, it's a lot more labor and a lot more things to manage, but
Yeah.
from a brand perspective, it makes things easier as well.
Yeah. So it's funny, I wrote this in our notes, but I first heard about you guys because the Girls of Sweats in the City would go all the time to the Flatiron location. They're fantastic. They've been on the show before. I love them. Was working with influencers and having them post, was that part of like your organic strategy, or was that just, did that just happen? Was it coincidental? What did that look like in your marketing strategy?
Yeah, so working with influencers it really happened organically. It was people coming to us. It was not something that we have paid for. So
Mhm.
I think what is great about nails is people love getting their nails done, and they love getting them done, and then they also love posting about them.
Yes.
Take pictures.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think, unlike possibly other beauty services where you may want to, keep it a bit more hidden what you're doing.
Yeah.
Nail is something that with nail art, with nail colors, with nail design,
Mhm.
it's a really fun way to share. So
Yeah.
we've been very, very fortunate to just organically get really some great influencers, great friends of the brand
Yeah.
to come into Gloss Lab and come into Gloss Lab pretty often.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it is the shareability aspect is fantastic. And I think, yes, there is, of course, the obvious that like sharing your nails is a fun thing to do. But I do also think that businesses play a part in the shareability, right? And something that I think you've done fantastic is that iconic polish wall. Right.
Mhm.
Like every single location has this gorgeous wall of all of their nail polishes set up, but it's such an Instagrammable moment, right? Like everybody wants to share that. And yes, when you go to your corner nail salon, you're going to share the picture after, but you're probably not sharing the during, right? Like
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
there's masking tape or what it's just not cute. It's not a cute experience. So talk to me a little bit about how you factored, I guess, social media into your design of the locations. Like, when did you know that you wanted people to be sharing their experience as well? And then how did you factor that in?
Yeah, no, so social media was a really big part of how we thought about the design and
Yeah.
just the experience overall. So I really wanted the experience at Gloss Lab to feel like we thought of every detail. So
Mm.
everything from the polish wall, where typically you go to get your nails done, you pick up 3 bottles of polish, maybe 3 pinks, because you can't really tell what they actually look like on your nail. So starting with the polish wall where we have nail tiles and you can really hold up your finger so you can see what it looks like on your nail against your skin tone. We have them in different sections so we can talk about our polishes. We have our favorites, we have our seasonal featured, but really making that interactive and user friendly and very pretty.
Mhm.
So also an Instagram moment, but really functionally and efficient.
Yeah.
We have, and also making each location really feel the same in a lot of ways. So feeling like you've been to a gloss lab, you've been to all gloss labs, you know what it smells like, you know what the music is like, how we display our polish, what kind of polish we have,
Mhm.
layering in some local details. So we have the location name on a light up mirror that you can take a picture in front of. We have different art or different murals in different locations. So it's sort of like, if you're in the Tribeca location or the NoHo location, depending on what that looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's so much about your business that you just did organic grassroots marketing the right way when it came to social media. And I do think it's super important to highlight all those aspects, like the in-studio experience, right? Like, what does it look like inside your four walls? Like, how are you encouraging shareability there? What does it look like when someone leaves, which is their nail art, right? Like having an easily shareable handle, like all these things, they seem silly, or mundane, but it really, it contributes so much to the virality of the brand, which worked out really well for you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. So, okay, I just want to talk about one thing quick because I read this in an article. You said, I'm running this business and living this crazy entrepreneur life of working 100 hours a week so that I don't have to work 40 hours a week. This makes me truly happy and fulfilled. And I read that and I was just like, yes, so many people are going to hear this and just like feel completely seen because it is so funny, right? Like we start these businesses thinking we'll have freedom and flexibility and you're up to the brim with work to do, but you feel fantastic doing it. So can you kind of go a little bit deeper into what this 100-hour versus 40-hour looks like for you? Like, I know you're a
Yeah.
mom, business owner, like talk to me about this sort of lifestyle.
Yeah, I think the lifestyle is super crazy, as you described, um, but there's really nothing like it. I've never in my life ever worked harder at something, but I've also never cared more and loved what I'm doing so much.
Yeah.
It really doesn't feel like work. It just is. Yes, it's hard. It's really hard, but it's also a lot of fun and very challenging. I'm able to work my mind in ways every single day on new challenges and finding new solutions, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And I do think there is this certain flexibility in running your own business where it's yours and you may be working harder and it may be that I'm putting my kids to sleep at night and doing some hours of work instead of, being off the clock at work and just sort of completely checking out. I'm never checked out.
Yeah.
But there's also an amazing freedom in that too.
I love that. Yeah. So going into, you are able to create, so much of the business and you kind of, I think that's a lot of people's favorite thing about being an entrepreneur is like, you can have an idea and sort of run with it. Something I want to talk about was where did your idea for the business model of Glosslab come from? So you guys are membership based. If you want to go into that a little bit, I think that's definitely helpful. How did you have that idea and how has that sort of been a challenge, but also how has it worked out to your advantage?
So we are membership based. It's a flat rate for unlimited manicures and pedicures for the month. And we launched membership from the very beginning. I always felt like manicures lent themselves to a membership business. Manicures is something that I did every week, pedicures about twice a month, sometimes 3 times a month. And it always just seemed like it should be something that is membership based. So that was in the thinking very right from the beginning. We also do a la carte services. So our members we're very much split between members and non-members in our locations.
Got it. Interesting. I guess, how does that work when you're opening a new market? Like, do you only have a certain amount of slots available? How do you generally like to fill those slots? Like, what are the challenges, I guess, that do come with a membership model when you're in a new market?
Yeah, so membership is valid at every Glosslab location. So you can use your membership at any Glosslab location. We typically have members sort of with like a home base location where you actually sign up for your membership, but you can use them at any Glosslab location. We often will sell memberships in markets before we even open our doors. So we call them founding memberships, and we sell them ongoing.
Got it. That's awesome. All right. So let's talk a little bit about scaling. So you said you have 20 locations open, right?
Almost 20. It will be
Almost
20.
20.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many are are currently not open yet, but are like in contract, or I guess that you've, started building?
Another 20, which are signed leases, but not open yet.
Okay. Wow. Fantastic. So talk to me about scaling, your experience so far with scaling the experience, what the challenges, like what have the challenges been, in moving to new markets? Have you found it challenging to maintain the experience for consumers, or, what, just like walk me through that experience?
Yeah, it's, each new market is, I think, comes sort of with its own personality, so to speak.
Yeah.
We starting in New York City and having so many in New York City, I think we see nuances even within New York of different neighborhoods.
Mhm.
The difference between more midtown and some more residential only neighborhoods. We see that in New York. So we are seeing differences in the different markets that we go into. In all of them, we are still sort of applying this clustering strategy. So we're going to a new market where we know that we can go into the new market and open at least 3 to 5 locations off the bat in that new market, and not just one Glosslab. So that has really been working for us so far.
Yeah.
So
Got
while
it.
opening a lot of locations, our market count is still pretty small.
Got it. And when you are going into a new location, a new market, what's sort of like your go-to? Like, do you do local partnerships? Do you do paid ads? Like, what does that look like when you haven't opened yet for your marketing?
Yeah, so we tend to do some paid before we get to the market. We have a lot of word of mouth, so I feel really fortunate that we open in brand new markets and people are like, "Well, I know Glosslab, I've heard of it." They walk in
Yeah.
the door to our brand,
Yeah.
the new market before we've opened. So that's really exciting. And then we do local partnerships. So we love jumping into a new market, getting to know it, reaching out to the local groups, and really becoming a part of the community.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of local partnerships. What do you think is the magic of them? Like, what have you seen really work when it comes to local partnerships?
We've just seen, I think so much about Glosslab is really building this community, and we see that a lot through our memberships. So even just anecdotally, I love being at a Glosslab location and having someone walk in and see someone they know, and they're like, "You're a member, I'm a member too." And that's just sort of like, that's magic to me. I love that. So
Yeah.
I think when we're in new markets and tapping into new communities, we're really trying to build that same thing that we have in, the OG Gloss Labs in new markets and new locations.
Yeah. I love that. And then how do you sort of, that's like definitely, that's great for the acquisition portion of it. What do you find really works for keeping your members retained? Like, do you ever do member events, or, celebrate your members, your founding members? Like, how do you sort of tackle this retention portion?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we ask for feedback all the
Mm.
time. So we love to listen to our members,
Yeah.
love to implement things that they recommend because they
Yeah.
really know best. They're our
Yeah.
customers and they're our repeating customers.
Yeah.
Um, we are often doing sort of surprise and delight. We recently rolled out product. So that's something that we're rolling out with sort of our more longstanding members.
Yeah.
But really just talking and listening to our members and making them feel like they're part of this community and really valuable.
Yeah. It's so important. It's so important to continuously be in that conversation. So, I mean, this is just so fantastic. What do you think is next for you guys besides the 20 locations that you're
Yeah.
opening? What is next? I know you did mention products a little bit. Like, what could that look like for you?
Yeah, so we just launched our nail polish, hand cream, foot cream, mani pedi kits, and we have a ton more product in the pipeline. So
Awesome.
super excited about that. And then
And they're all vegan and non-toxic, right?
they are all vegan and non-toxic. I love clean beauty, but I also love products that work. So
Yeah.
they're performance clean products, I like to say. Um, so a lot of products coming, as well as just more and more Gloss Lab locations. So we're really excited about that.
Oh, I love that so much. Are there any international yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Well, are you ready to get into some rapid fire questions?
Sure, let's go.
Okay. What's your favorite way to work out?
Oh, these are the rapid fire questions.
Yeah. You're like, oh
Okay, let's start again.
God. What is your favorite way to work out?
I am a yoga and Pilates girl. My
Okay.
two favorites are Lion's Den in New York
Yes.
City, Bethany Lyons. She's
Yep.
amazing. And I love solid core.
I love Salacor. Anne's been on the show a lot. She's been my business coach, actually. I love her. All right. Software that you absolutely cannot run your business without.
I'm sort of old school, but I love Excel.
Okay. Well, you have a finance background. That makes sense.
But more so than any of our fancy operational systems. I'm an Excel.
I love that. If you could live anywhere in the world that is not New York, where would it be?
Tough question. I love New York City.
I love that. I love it. Let's keep it. Advice that you would give your younger self.
To listen to my gut
Mm.
and just start. Just start.
I love that. I love that so much. Dream job besides what you're doing right now.
I love what I'm doing now. I think it would just be to do what I'm doing, but maybe, I don't know, starting Glosslab 2.0.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. And then last one lesson that you took from the pandemic that you want to keep with you.
The pandemic, living in New York City, it's such a busy, always on the go lifestyle, which I love for myself. And I love that about New York City, but I think the pandemic definitely, as with everyone, was a time to slow down. And it just sort of, I wouldn't say it slowed my hustle, but it just took into perspective of like not making plans every night of the week. It was really nice to stay home, and I've kept that. And I really have learned, I think, to say no a lot unless it's a yes that I really want to do.
Yeah, I love that. Rachel, thank you so much. Where can people find you and how can they find a Glosslab near them?
Thank you so much. You can find us on Instagram, Glosslab. All of our locations are on there.
Awesome. Amazing. And you guys definitely, when you take a picture of the polished wall, tag Rachel, tag Glosslab, and tag me because I want to see them.
Amazing. Thank you so much.